I'm going to kick this off here and talk a little bit about communication in today's workplace. As HR professionals, communication obviously is everything. There can be a lot of noise to cut through in our workplaces today. More and more, we're competing with increasing channels of communication. There's email, there's social media, there's even productivity tools like Asana, Trello, and Slack, and they're all bombarding us with communication at any given moment. At Guidebook, professionals often tell us that they are concerned with finding a relevant channel to publish information on that adds to the employee experience rather than distracting from it or detracting from it. And to be honest, it hasn't been very easy in recent years. These days, a significant number of emails go unopened. Some of our information sharing architecture of yesterday, like company intranets, are crumbling and losing out to more fragmented cloud storage solutions. So what are we supposed to do? How are people like you reaching the workforce? Well, at Guidebook, we help people create mobile apps. And we offer up tools, and then people use those tools and find creative ways to communicate using mobile devices and mobile apps. One area we've been seeing a lot of success in recently, and the use that we'll be focusing on today, is in the realm of learning and talent development. And when you think about it, it makes sense. Oftentimes in the world of learning and talent development, there are cohorts of learners, schedules that tell them where they need to be when, resource libraries, directories, and I'm willing to bet that you've been brainstorming ways to add in more interactive features to your programs using mobile technology as well. Well, we are going to touch on all that today and some features of mobile apps and app building platforms that you can tap into to craft your own personally tailored mobile apps at your company. We know that no two organizations are alike, but basic human communication is relatively similar the world over, so we bet that you'll find some useful ideas in today's webinar that you can stitch together and make work for your situation regardless of your context. We're also going to hear from a very special guest today who has been using apps at his organization to completely innovate the way that he's communicating. And in fact, I would like to introduce him now. His name is Jeff Hawley, and he works with talent development at CA Technologies. Jeff Hawley has interest and extensive experience with user experience and integration of technology into learning. He has been with CA Technologies for 10 years and currently leads mobile strategy for HR talent development while also driving global manager enablement and serving as a facilitator for leadership development. Jeff has also served in the role of art director with CA Technologies and previously with Harcourt Digital Learning, Classroom Connect, and eSchool. Jeff, thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Jordan. It's great to be here.
Excellent. We also have with us from Guidebook today, Catherine DeLeon, who is our Director of Enterprise. Catherine has been with Guidebook since the beginning. She's overseen some of Guidebook's largest implementations and has worked with IT teams, marketing teams, HR teams, you name it, to introduce mobile communication to a variety of companies. Catherine, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
Excellent. I'm going to toss out a question to the both of you. Jeff, we'll have you answer it first. We're talking today about mobile apps for talent development teams. And I think regardless of what context people are in these days, they've probably considered mobile communication in one way or another. It just seems to be the way that people communicate these days. But why mobile apps for talent and development teams? What is it about this technology that makes mobile phones and mobile apps a good communication channel when it comes to these types of programs? Jeff?
Yeah, sure. Let me start with where I come from. Like my perspective with my organization, with CA Technologies, we're a global company. We're large. We have over 12,000 employees all over the place. And we support bring your own device. So that's kind of the world that we're in right now. And sure. I've worked on mobile for many years. Now the technology is at a place that the devices that we're working with and then also the mobile platform is in a different place. So it just makes it much more possible now to communicate. We communicate with employees in many different ways, but now mobile is a part of that. That's why we have the mobile strategy. And within talent development, there's a number of different programs where something like mobile can work, where we're working with groups possibly in person, but then also where they may be together in a virtual setting as well, like I say, in different regions, different parts of the world. And that's where mobile, I think, can help to tie things together, almost like a thread to tie things together.
Yeah, Jeff, I think that's actually a really important point, is that especially at globally distributed companies, it's not always necessarily easy to figure out a way or a channel to connect all of us together, especially when we're maybe pushing out similar programs regardless of where people live in the world. But mobile devices are certainly ubiquitous enough at this point that it allows us to reach those people regardless of where they are.
Right. Yeah, not necessarily in an office setting and different time zones, all of those. It just helps to stay connected. Right.
Great. Catherine, I'd be interested to hear from you, since you've worked with a lot of clients at this point with this type of technology. Why do you think that mobile apps and mobile phones are an important way of communicating when it comes to particularly talent development these days?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I see most often when talking to clients are two big pain points. The first is sort of a simple one. It's just difficulty communicating all of the information they have to people when it's stored on so many different, formats. So whether that's email or PDFs or whatever it might be, just kind of gathering all of that and making it a little bit more easy to digest. That seems to be a big reason people go mobile. And I think another one, specifically with HR or talent, is engagement. So when you do have a company, as big as CA Technologies or a lot of the other people we work with, it's hard for employees to really get to know one another and to sort of engage with each other. And I think the app can help facilitate that.
That's great. The mobile device is a very personal device. And so if you're looking to make a connection with someone in a more intimate way and have them feel engaged in not only your message but the company mission as a whole, I think that mobile technology is actually a really great way of accomplishing that. Let's give a little context to what we're talking about here today. And we've already alluded to this, the ubiquity of apps and the idea that mobile communication is permeating our lives in ways that, and at such a rate that is almost unprecedented in the history of communication. In a matter of 8 years, which is when apps were first introduced, we now have 1.6 million of them. And each of us has about 42 apps per person, and we spend 198 minutes a day on them. The interesting thing, though, is that they still feel out of reach for a lot of people. We recognize that they're a great communication channel, but I would venture to guess, and probably why you're attending this webinar today, that when it comes to creating an app or figuring out how one gets developed, it's still kind of a mystery. Now, websites have actually taken the jump. They've been democratized with companies like Squarespace, Wix, and Weebly, which allow us to easily spin up websites. Even our marketing automation software at this point has easy web page builders so that we can create a website at any given moment. But we haven't really quite yet found that same platform model for the mobile app. So we might have ideas for how we want to communicate with mobile technology. We might have ideas for, wouldn't it be great if I had an app for blank? And what we're actually going to see today is that Guidebook is now one of the first companies in the world to put forth a platform solution so that you can begin to publish apps on your own without the overhead and lengthy time of a custom development solution. One of the things that our clients also tell us is that they're getting mandates and pressure from the top down that's saying, we are a mobile-first company. We expect our company to undergo a digital transformation, but there really isn't a lot of necessarily instruction or detail on how to accomplish that thing. And many people are kind of left thinking to themselves, well, I guess that means that we're going to be involved in some sort of lengthy development process that is also extremely costly. And the great thing is that with a platform solution, that takes all of that out of the mix. So as you can see in our little flow chart here, if you yourself are the admin of, say, a mobile app strategy, you can have editors within your organization, and the thing that you're worrying about is content. And the platform itself, so a SaaS cloud platform like Guidebook actually takes care of all the technology for you and the distribution to your users' mobile devices. So you can worry about things like putting in calendars, uploading PDFs, choosing the format and style of your app, and then the platform itself takes care of stitching all those things together and then distributing it to your users' mobile devices. A platform solution we have found has kind of 4 main benefits to it. The first one is that you can access it anywhere. And like Jeff was talking about, when you have a company that exists all over the world, the ability to not only create apps from any computer at any given time, as long as it has a browser, and from anywhere in the world, and then collaborate with people in other countries, in other time zones, can be a huge benefit. The ability to grow is also important, to start small and then increase your implementation. So with a platform solution, we're not asking you to invest $100,000 in a crazy company-wide implementation, and you're not even sure if it's going to work yet. You can actually start with one small app with a focused group of people, see if it works, and then grow from there. And I think Jeff is actually going to touch on that a little bit later in our presentation. We'll also talk, the other thing that is beneficial with a platform solution like Guidebook is the ability to develop an app without any technical skills. Creating an app on Guidebook is really as simple as writing a Word document or filling out a Facebook profile. All you need to know is what your content is, and we take care of the rest. And so that, of course, cuts out a huge amount of overhead and complications, and members of your team who are not necessarily technically savvy can still pick up a product like Guidebook and be publishing mobile apps instantly. And then there is the idea that a platform solution gives you flexibility and allows your creativity to really shine. So when we give you a toolbox, you can then piece those tools together to create custom solutions for problems that your company is facing, and you can use your creative mind to actually build the thing that is going to help you communicate and achieve your goals. Now, what does this all look like? I want to talk more particularly about how CA Technologies has done this, and we're going to take a look at their implementation today, and Jeff is going to walk us through how they were able to do this. Now, Jeff, I know that originally you wanted to implement this technology for your talent development program. So I was thinking maybe you could just give us a brief overview of what your talent development program looks like, and then maybe also a broad overview of what those apps, what you wanted apps to do when it came to your talent development program.
Yeah, sure. And I think a lot of what you just talked about, we had a similar approach, and there was great collaboration as this was coming together as well with Catherine and with others on the team as we were doing this. Within talent development, we really had a small target to start with. Actually, it's a relatively small target with our leadership development program. There's many areas that we could have gone to, and we could have really tried to cover a lot at one time initially, but we didn't approach it that way, and it made it much more manageable so that we could, like you were saying, try some things out, see if it worked, and work iteratively so we could get a response from people and make adjustments as we went along. So we focused first on our leadership development program, and even with that, we focused on a portion of it. So just first with the leadership development program, it is something that we have that is company-wide. It's used to improve personal development for employees to develop as leaders. And it's a year-long experience where we have in-person sessions, so they're together, and they're coming, and like I said, we're a global company, so they're coming together from different locations and working together a couple of times a year. And then there's also virtual things that would happen in between that time, a lot of virtual sessions. So it's a very, really immersive program that lasts over a long period of time. We had over 800 that went through last year. We have more than that going through this year, and about 1,700 alumni as well. So we have quite a large pool that have been through the program. So, so with this, when we started, we focused on that. So that's actually still a pretty large audience, but we focused really on the in-person sessions to start because that was something that we could manage. We'd have people, feet on the ground. We'd have in locations, not always the same ones, but we'd have people on location there so that we could roll out the app really specifically for that use first. And we could observe it, and we did it this way. We would put it out to a group, let's say we did it in New York, or we did it in India or in Australia. We would put it out and get a response, and then we would make adjustments. And that was really our first year with the app doing it that way.
Okay, so and what we're looking at here,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just going to say what we're looking at here, just to give people a bit of a context, is the actual app itself. And on the right-hand side is the home screen of the CA Talent Development app. And within that app, there are guides, as we call them, which essentially a guide corresponds to what? A group of people, a location?
Yeah, and that's a great way to see it. So with this program, we have different groups that would be together. So right now we're running, in this year, 15 different groups. A group would equal a guide. And so in guidebook terms, we'd have a separate guide experience for each of those groups.
Great. And so the guide actually continues to be updated with information throughout the year as they're working their way through the program.
Right, and like I was describing the first year where we started small and just the in-person, where we are now, it's a full year experience, so we're constantly updating material and we're alerting and we're staying connected with the participants throughout the whole year, whether in their program.
Okay. What has it been like to get people to adopt this sort of thing, and how are you getting people to actually use the app?
For this group that we're working with, it's been, I think, easier for us to have a high adoption rate. We're at about 98%. And one reason is that it's required. And I don't mean that in a way that we're forcing people to use it, but it's so integrated into the program experience. There's certain things that you really need the app to do things with. And so it's built into the program. There's been no resistance to that either, because it's really enhanced the program as well.
I think that's a really smart way of approaching it, is actually making it an essential tool for the program. And I know, Catherine, maybe you can speak to